Welcome to the Jerry Acuff Show. Today I am super excited. You could say I am stoked to welcome Kyle McAllister to our show. Kyle is actually my idol. He's 26 years old. He's an entrepreneur. He's going to be unbelievably successful, probably more successful than he even understands today. But he's the CEO and founder of Global Threads, LLC. It's a custom print apparel company that has an expertise in design. And he actually got a finance degree from Gonzaga University, a great basketball school. And then he moved to Fort Worth for a job with TD Ameritrade, but actually changed his course to pursue his passion of entrepreneurship. Now, I love the opportunity to interview somebody like Kyle because I am the world's largest supporter of millennials. I actually have one at home. He needs his own support. That's a separate issue. But millennials to me are going to be the greatest economic force America has ever seen, because you have this group of people, this unbelievably talented generation who understand the power of technology, who also are passionate about what their purpose is. And to me, the juxtaposition of those two things is going to change the world like nobody's ever changed it. And you see that in some of the great companies that we have. So we're going to interview Kyle McAllister. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself and his story. And hopefully, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're 45 years old and still trying to reach for a higher rung in life, you'll get some ideas from Kyle as he tells us about his journey towards building this very successful company at such a young age. So Kyle, tell us a little bit about yourself and how Global Threads was born.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for that kind introduction. I appreciate it. Yeah, so Global Threads was actually founded at Gonzaga University, very good basketball school. Thank you for that as well. We're very prideful there. And basically, I got lucky. I stumbled upon it at Gonzaga University. I was actually walking from the business school to like the library, and I was getting ready to study abroad in Florence, Italy. And Florence, Italy is probably, that program is one of the most talked about on campus aside from our college basketball team. And it just dawned on me all of a sudden, why is there no physical representation? Why is there no swag to, what I said back then? And, why is there nothing to show that here at Gonzaga in Florence? So I came up with the idea, hey, how can I make some T-shirts? Started asking around and got a friend to come up with the design, and went to the local screen print shop and got 3 different quotes. Obviously, I went with the cheapest one, developed a good relationship, and before I left, I made 80 of them and sold the majority, like 65. So I made a pretty good profit, $900. And then I came back, and I realized it was not just a one-time thing. People started asking me for sweatshirts for different colors, quarter-zip sweatshirts, and I didn't really know what that was, but I was like, of course I'm going to make it happen. So that's kind of how it first got started.
So when you started the business, and you started with that organization, I mean, not Gonzaga, but who was the company that you were doing business with, the screen shop?
Yeah, it was called Wild Rose Graphics.
Are you still doing business with them?
Not as much, and they really got me started, but I think they're in Spokane now, and it was just hard to communicate with them. I was with them for a good year, though,
right?
Even when I was not in Spokane.
Right, because I know when because you sort of stayed in that business as a side business, didn't you, for a while?
Yeah, I did. And, once I did a couple things, I did a couple orders being in Fort Worth.
Right.
I just noticed it was going to be a little bit more challenging. So
right.
I started to really dig in and do some research how I can manufacture it here in the DFW area.
So how'd you make the decision to leave corporate America and sort of strike out on your own as a young person? Though, and I have to tell you before you answer the question, one of the advice I give to people all the time is, if you want to go in business for yourself, do it as quickly as you possibly can, because the younger you are, the fewer obligations you have. It's so much harder to go into business for yourself when you're 45 than it is when you're 25. So I applaud you for doing that. But what was the trigger?
Yeah, no, thank you. And I I second exactly that. I couldn't agree more. You need to start young. I think what really got me going, Jerry, was I was at TD Ameritrade, and I'm a very high energy, high passionate person. And I got to TD Ameritrade. I got my Series 7, my 63, and I was ready to conquer the world. And I was on the floor, they call it the trading floor, for one full quarter. And I was in the top 10 in brokerage sales. I got a nice little bonus. And after that, though, I was like, okay, let's go climb the next mountain. But I started to see really quickly, I had these ideas and things that the company could improve, and I saw really quickly. And TD Ameritrade is a great company. I'm not knocking them at all. People will understand what I'm saying is like it's very corporate, and I mean they make their money and they want to stay efficient. So I knew the fact that I was going to have to wait 2 years to get a promotion when I was trying to climb mountains within one quarter. That was going to be tough. And then, to be honest, I just didn't feel like I was being challenged. After about 5 months, I was like, I know my role to a T, and it was pretty much be patient, we'll promote you in a year, and that just wasn't going to work. And then secondly, I had so much fun at Gonzaga doing that. When you have an idea and you actually go through with it, and I mean, even you don't even have to have success. You just make a product or make a service and sell it. Boy, there's no better feeling. So I needed to get that back. So I think those two things is what led me to go full-time into Global Threads.
So when you started Global Threads, did you start it in Texas or?
So yeah, I filed the company, the LLC, in Texas. My father, he's a very smart man. He was like, pretty soon you're going to need to file this company. Because
right.
it was all kind of under the table, and I had finally set up a bank account for the business. And so yeah, to answer your question, in 2015, I filed it in Dallas.
So how do you come up with ideas for other products? I mean, like you started with Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Are you focusing on schools mostly, or?
Yeah, so not so much. So basically, there is a whole story to that. I was focusing on universities, and I still work with universities. University of Tulsa is a really good client of ours, University of San Diego. But like, again, it started the transition with friends and customers asking, hey, can you make our sweatshirts for this event? Can you make our T-shirts for this event? Can we get your design? Because I think people really liked some of the designs we came up with too. So naturally, we started to develop a client base in terms of businesses, individuals. So to answer your question, yeah, we still do universities. They're a little bit more bureaucratic, takes longer to work with. So we're not done with universities, but that's no longer the main revenue source for us.
So how much are you doing much business over the internet, or?
We've done not as much as I'd like, but we're really making a push. Our new website is launching in about a month, and it's all going to be very customizable where you can pick what you want on the website.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So what is it like working for yourself, being your own boss versus working for a large company? You sort of alluded to that. But
sure. You know, it's double-edged sword. You know, for me, I love it. I'm always energized, so that it makes it easy. You know, let me tell you, TD Ameritrade was a good company. I was going to make $52,000 out of college, and I think, you know, I've always been financially independent as long as I can remember. And as soon as like 2 paychecks had gone by after I had quit that I didn't receive from Ameritrade, that's when I was not really sleeping that well, type of thing. But at the same time, I'd wake up feeling, let's go conquer the day. So I mean, I definitely think, that goes back to I'm young. You know, I'm young. I can move wherever I want. I don't have kids. I don't have a mortgage. So it was exciting, but then there's a double-edged sword. It's kind of like a roller coaster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know when I went into business for myself, I was 100% convinced, because I'd run a large company, and I was 100% convinced that I'd be able to make as much money, you know, within a year, and it took me 6 years. One of the things I learned about being in business for yourself is that everything takes longer. You know, almost everything that you think can happen in 6 months takes a year or two. And so it took me a while to actually get to that point. But you're right, it is a double-edged sword. There are some real benefits to not having to answer to anybody else. What are some of the negatives of working for yourself? You mentioned one of them before we got on the...
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the things that I do not like paying for, I'm a young 26, healthy-year-old, knock on wood. Hopefully I can maintain that. But I'm paying for my own health care. You know, and that's an expense that I don't like. You know, I'd rather invest in the GT company, honestly. And then I think Also, some of the other things that I don't like, there's not a whole lot, but I guess then a paycheck at TD Ameritrade that I was getting every 2 weeks and a quarterly bonus.
Right.
I missed that. But I think over the last year, there's just so many more positives, though.
So now, as a small business owner, I'm assume, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, that you do a lot of your own selling.
Oh, yeah.
Is that fair? Go ahead.
I was just going to say probably 100%, which I'm looking to change here shortly.
So what are some of the challenges you face selling, to people as a young entrepreneur? Are there any, or if there are, what are they?
Definitely. So as you spoke about earlier, it takes a little bit longer. That was a lesson that I needed to digest about 8 to 10 months ago. Sometimes I can be really brash and aggressive, and I mean, I don't mean it in a bad way. I just want to get a deal done. I want to let me provide this service for you. So I think gauging the sales cycle based on the client, that was a huge learning experience for me. So some people want to go fast, some people want to go slow, some people want to talk in 6 months, a year. So really navigating that and not trying to rush people was a big part. And then just understanding that it's sales come from all over. I mean, I'm always selling, always.
Right.
Like, it's not even, and I'm not like the car salesman. I'm just always talking about, global threads and what we can do, how we can help type of thing. So the selling's just in my blood, and it just never turns off. So,
So how do you prospect?
Yeah, good question. I do a lot of different prospecting. I think I targeted one of my first clients in DFW was a junior high. So I did this mail campaign, and I sent them to 100 junior highs within the DFW area. Didn't work too well. But, right, you got to try things. And then some Facebook ads. I found some clients via LinkedIn as well. And then a lot of universities. When I was really pushing the study abroad stuff, one of my big things I went to was it's called NAFSA. It's the National Study Abroad Conference. It was in Los Angeles. But I think, I need to get a little bit better at prospecting, to be perfectly honest.
So what, have you had much training in sales, or?
I wouldn't say training. I think I've got at TD Ameritrade there was some sales training, but I think a lot of it has just been by learning on the go, kind of learning what works, what doesn't work.
Gotcha. I do sales training. Just thought I would throw that out there. I mean,
we need to get together,
not that you
Jared.
might need any of it, but as one of the top 5 sales experts in the world, you might want to call me.
Hey, perfect.
I'd be happy to help you because I'd love to see you just kill it. But sales means revenue, right? So I'm going to assume that you set revenue goals each year.
Absolutely.
So how do you go about that process of setting goals? I'm a big believer that most people, we don't teach people in college goal setting. We don't teach people relationship building, and we don't teach people how to be convincing. Yet those are 3, I think, of the most important skills that any young person can learn. And so goal setting, to me, is right at the top because 96% of people never do establish a goal. Only 4% of people actually do. So when you sit down and think about, okay, what kind of goals do I have for my business, how do you go through that mental process? And I know it's always a guess. I mean, anybody that acts like they know what the thing ought to be is not right.
Yeah, I wish I should probably set more goals across the whole board, but my biggest focus was being a $100,000 revenue company this year.
Gotcha.
And I was, as we talked about, I was overly joyed that we've hit that mark already in October. And the way I went about that was, okay, last year we did this amount.
Right.
Okay. And you were busy, you had some other commitments. If you put your heart and soul into this, you can get that number. And I mean, I remember mentioning it to some people who had worked with me in the company. They're like, dude, that's crazy. There's no way. And, it was good to, hey, here we go. So I think there's one mini mountain, and now I think I got to climb another one and set the bar even higher.
Right. But it's really interesting that you say that, because when I talk about my 5 rules for setting and achieving stretch goals, one of them is don't let somebody else talk you out of it, especially yourself. But there will always be people who try and talk you out of incredible achievement, because fundamentally your incredible achievement makes them look bad. And so their paradigm, by the way, is that you can't do that. But what they really are saying is, I couldn't do that, right? So they transfer that to you. You have to tune that stuff out, because the truth is you can do whatever you say you can do. When I was a sales manager one time, we used to have a product where if you sold $2 million as a district, and I was a district manager, you got a big bonus. Well, I was the first person to sell $2.5 million. I was the first person to sell $3 million, and I got the same bonus as if I sold $2 million. So the last year that I was a manager, the national sales director asked me, how much are you going to sell this year? I said $4 million. And I said, if I sell $4 million, will you give me twice what you were going to give me for $1 million? He said, you don't have a chance of selling $4 million. You can't do it. And I'm sitting here saying, the big boss can't even, believe that I could do this. Now, I actually did 4.1 million. So the story ends the way it's supposed to end. But it's unbelievable how people do try and talk you out of it. And I think a great lesson for people like you that believe in what they're doing, passionate of what they're doing, don't let somebody talk you out of it. You believe you can do it, you can actually do it. So where do you see this going? I mean, obviously you're building a company.
Yep.
How are you going to scale it? Have you thought about that yet, or is it too early for that?
No, that keeps me up at night. I think scaling, that definitely keeps me up at night. I think one of the drivers right now, is I'm a healthy, paranoid person about everything that's going on. And I mean, it's good, but, mistakes start to happen. We're humans, and when I've involved some other people, mistakes happen. So I think what I'm really working on, thinking about and staying up late at night, is automating processes, trying to become a really efficient, have good technology to our company and our website. I'm really excited about our website. I'm a little nervous as well. We're going to beta it to our 5 biggest customers. But yeah, scaling it, and then also the manufacturing side. I didn't know that it would get, I actually did, but now that I'm in it, the manufacturing side to custom print apparel is very difficult. And, I think the industry needs disruption, but it's a lot harder than I thought working with some of the companies. Some of them are great, but the problem that I have is, some are super reliable, because I contract all of this.
Right.
And I want to continue to do that. But to answer your question, yes, it keeps me up at night scaling it. But yeah, I think we have a lot of good things in the pipeline.
Gotcha. One of the things I really am impressed with as we talk is a couple of times you've alluded to the fact that you've made some mistakes or missteps or whatnot. And a lot of people are, don't really understand that nobody bats 1,000 when you're doing anything entrepreneurial. A lot of it is sort of, it's trial and error. It's, I think this is going to work. It's not going to work. I had a partner one time, and the partner didn't work out, and so I had to go through that whole process. Great guy, but it just didn't work out as a partnership. But you don't know some of those things until you go through them. Now I've come to the conclusion I don't want a partner. I want to do this myself. But early on in your career, it's sort of intoxicating to think that you could do this with somebody else. For some reason, it makes you feel like it's more likely to be successful. But these are lessons.
Yeah, I mean, I could speak to the problems part for a while, and I heard Mark Zuckerberg say it, and obviously everybody knows who Mark Zuckerberg is with Facebook, just amazing company, doing so well. And I heard him say, and this was kind of in his early stages, is like, problems are just unavoidable. Like, I don't care how smart you are, I don't care how much you plan, I don't care if you work by yourself, like, problems happen. And I think what I've understood about really successful people that I've studied in all walks of life is, okay, there's a problem, and there's 2 types of people, really. Okay, what is the solution? And then, I think the other part, a lot of what I see at corporate America and a lot of things is blame. People are always looking to point blame. And what I learned from hearing that, and just, in entrepreneurship in general, okay, here's a problem. What is the solution?
Right.
And I think, anyone who's looking to get into it, trust, it's not going to be some perfect road. How are you gonna deal with some of those problems?
You talked a little bit earlier about some of the folks that you actually did business with earlier, I got the sense, and maybe I'm wrong, but I got the sense that you have a network of people that are important to your success. Is that a fair way to look at it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how important is the network, and how do you use a network? Well, one of the things that I find is that too many young people don't understand the power of a network. I always tell people, if you're going to be successful in life, you need two things. One, you need to be incredible at what you do, whatever it is. Secondly, is you need a network of people that will help you be successful. If you are great and nobody knows you, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If everybody knows you and you suck, it don't matter. You have to have both.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your network and how you are leveraging that network to help you be successful.
Oh, I'm so glad that you asked me that question, because I couldn't agree more. I think so. A couple different things that I'm going to mention some names. My old football coach, Coach Tom Boehner in Bothell, Washington. About 2 or 3 years ago, I tried to get to sell him some T-shirts, and I was probably unclear, And this year, we got it done. So there's a network example,
right.
And he remembered that, and he called me, and we made it happen rather quickly. And then back to that, I used one of my high school buddies who was in design to help us with the design, and then that same buddy works at a really successful company in Seattle, and they needed T-shirts. So who do you think they used?
Right.
So, and then another, and that's Bobby Gagnon. I want to give him a plug on this. And then one of my friends from Gonzaga, Samantha Marzialo, works at Nordstrom's. I think everybody knows where Nordstrom's is, and we supplied their employees a lot of sweatshirts.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to go on forever, but I couldn't agree with you more. You need to use your network and let them know what you're doing. And, yeah, I mean, they want to see you succeed. Of course, they want to use me over someone else. Those are my good friends.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, they know they can trust you.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the key to having a network, is where people actually trust you. What I think, though, is we got to teach young people how to be more intentional and disciplined about building a network, because it's so important. Because if you're going to be successful as an entrepreneur, without a network that actually will help you, that can be those first places where you actually get traction, and then leveraging those things, asking those people, hey, who do you know that I need to know? If you run across somebody that actually needs T-shirts, how any kind of custom design, call me. Let me ask you, how can people find out more about your company? Because I'm thinking we need some custom stuff at Delta Point.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure I can buy 100 of them, but maybe I can.
Oh, you can do 500, Jerry. GlobalThreadsLLC.com. Really excited about our new website. It's going to be live in a month, but we have one right now. You can check it out. We are all over the social media. We have an Instagram. We have the Facebook, Twitter. Just look us up on Google. We got some good reviews on Google and Yelp. And then follow us on Snapchat, GTLLC. We have a lot of people on there doing takeovers and whatnot. So yeah, check us out.
Wow, that's terrific. Well, thanks so much for being a guest. So everybody do check out GlobalThreadsLLC.com. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
GlobalThreadsLLC.com for all your custom print apparel. Because I can promise you this young man can get it done. He's such a perfect example to me of what will make America even greater, and that is young people with passion about what they do, who are willing to take a chance, willing to take a risk about something they believe in, to go out and make themselves successful. I hope that you take away from this the power of networks. I hope you take away from this a reminder of just how important goal setting is. If you don't set goals, you can march up and down the field of life and never score. But if you have goals, then you know exactly what you're aiming for. And if you aim at nothing, you're bound to hit it. So get some goals, get some network. Use Kyle McAllister as a beacon of light in your life for someone who's going to be wildly successful. And I'm going to enjoy being a part of that success, because I'm going to teach him a little bit about selling at some point in time, whether he wants to or not. And when I do, I promise you, he will be incredible.
You're listening WTN, the digital destination for premium talk radio.